Okay, so we're going to go back to the Google Classroom. I just posted an assignment. It's called Unit 1 Whole Class Learning Strategies. So I'm going to share my screen, show you guys where that's at. But it's under ELA and Google Classroom. I think you guys are getting better and better at picking up the Google Classroom stuff. All right. So if you're in Google Classroom, it's under Classwork, and then scroll down to ELA, and you will have the Unit 1 Whole Class Learning Strategies. It's the same program that we've been using the last 2 days. So you'll open it up, and it'll take you to the My Realize or Savvis Realize. I think it's Savvis. Savvis? I'm going to go Savvis. Sounds good. And it'll take you there. Yours is going to look a little different than mine. So you should get something that looks like this. Thumbs up if you're doing all right so far. I can only see a couple of you guys, but we're pulling up the Unit 1 Whole Class Learning Strategies. And when you open that up, and it loads, might take a second. There we go. It should just be one chart, and it's titled Whole Class Learning Strategies. And all we're going to do is watch a video, talk about some strategies, fill out the chart, and we're done for the day with ELA, not with the other stuff, but with ELA. So,
wow, this is
that's
short.
what we're going to do. Yeah, it should be a pretty short lesson. I'm going to give you guys maybe 2 minutes to go ahead and go to Google Classroom, pull up the Unit 1 Whole Class Learning Savvis Realize assignment.
Oh, I'm already on.
All right, if you're already there, then just sit tight. We're going to let other people pull it up because I can see that a few people are coming in. So those of you that are just coming in, we went to Google Classroom. We pulled up the Unit 1 Whole Class Learning Strategies Savvis Realize thing. So when you open that up from Google Classroom, it looks like this chart. And I'll give you a minute or two to get there. Alrighty. How you guys doing? Got it pulled up? Looking good? All right. So let's go ahead and just get started on it. It really won't take us very long. We'll do the whole thing together, and you should be able to, you guys are able to turn it in the top right. Mine is just a preview from the teacher view, so there's no turn in button, but that's okay. So it says learning strategies, and then we're going to talk about whole class learning strategies. And by whole class, it legitimately means like our whole class is in on the lesson. Well, as many, if this would be whole class, if everybody was in the classroom. But for right now, this is our whole class, right? We're all together doing a whole class learning lesson. So it says, throughout your life, in school, in your community, and in your career, you will continue to learn and work in large group environments. So kind of no matter where you go, whether you go to college, whether you go directly into your career, you're always going to be working with other people. And these are just some good strategies to practice now as you're growing up to be able to interact well with people in those big, like, multi-people environments. Okay, so it says, review these strategies and the actions you can take to practice them as you work with your whole class. Add ideas of your own to each step. Get ready to use these strategies during whole class learning. So the strategies we're going to talk about are actively listening or listen actively. So like actually listening when the person is talking, whether it's me or one of your classmates or anybody else. Like let's say Mr. Turner's writing a lesson for you or Ms. Dauphiné is. Then you guys are actively listening to the speaker, whoever is talking. The next one is clarify by asking questions. So if you're confused, you ask questions about it, right? The next one, monitoring understanding. So that's your own process of if you are understanding what we're talking about. So you kind of have to gauge that yourself. And then our last one we're going to talk about is to interact and share ideas. This is a big one for the whole group type of thing. I know that it's kind of weird on the video setting to be able to interact super easily. Like if we were in class, you'd be able to raise your hand and give us your ideas really quickly. But in this type of setting, it's a little bit harder, right? But that's okay. We'll get used to it. So this is just being able to interact with your peers, with your teachers, with your bosses, wherever you are in life, and share your ideas and build those connections with people. Okay, so we'll fill that out in a second. Still with me so far? All right, there is a video that we're going to watch. It's on the right called Whole Class Learning Strategies. I'm going to play it so you guys don't need to, but it's about 3 minutes long, and then we'll fill out the chart. Are you ready? Thumbs up if we're ready for our video. All right, here we go.
We will be sharing today as well.
My name is Gabriel. I am 7th grade and I'm attending Unity Junior High School.
I'm going to read to you.
I like learning strategies with like the active listening, pay attention to the speaker, stuff like that. I like it.
You know that when you turn and talk to your shoulder partner, please look at them, give them good eye contact, and be able to share after that.
It shows like that we're listening, we're being respectful.
Where might you see a news blog?
Answering the questions as they're supposed to be answered.
Be real.
In a newspaper?
In a newspaper, perhaps.
I'm Miss Stephanie. I'm in 7th grade and I study at Unity Junior High School.
We're just going to remind you to always look up at your speaker, ears open, and please listen actively.
I kept my eye on the speaker. I also wrote the notes that we were supposed to write so we could look back to if we have any trouble. I actually think the strategies help other students because sometimes other students don't know what to do during a mini lesson or anything or any strategies.
I just told Laura that without you, I wouldn't be the man that I am today.
I think putting them out there and putting the strategies for other students to know, I think it helps other students learn more.
Why does Maurice call Laura Lori? Didn't we pick up on that?
And made sure I elaborated on the questions and what we needed to learn.
Real?
And what was most important about the section. He probably called her Lori because that's like a nickname that he learned.
Yeah.
Laura.
Literature discuss groups help us all know each other's opinions and having it out there so we could talk about that to understand the lesson or story better.
And I can also add something to the nickname type of thing. Looking back at 35, the 8th paragraph, that their kids call them Aunt Lori.
Yeah. Way to pull in from the other text.
Every single time that someone puts their opinion out there, it actually makes us think even more about if what they thought was better or if we were wrong. That way we could understand it more and we know what to think and a better way to understand it. Other students are respectful towards another about their own opinions because they also have their own opinions and they don't want to also be wrong, but I think everyone's respectful about it, about each other's opinions.
Laura was well off, right? Laura was an executive and she had money.
I like writing in the book because in that way, when we have further questions for next lessons, we could look back to the notes and we know what to do.
If you're thinking about that question, what can one generation learn from another?
I do refer back to the notes, especially in the notes column, because that's where we write most of our side notes and such, like answering questions.
We have a little handout for you, and it's about the 5 W's. So for today, what we'd like you to fill out is just the first box, the who and the what.
It's like the who, what, where, when, why. We'll refer back to there. I like writing in the book because we don't have to use loose leaf, so we don't lose the paper. We could just have it straight in the textbook.
What I liked about the story is that there was one before and one after, so it includes both perspectives of the both people in the story. That's what I like about the story.
I like the stories because they're more descriptive than what other stories we've read so far this year. They show more elaborate sentences, big text that we can actually refer back to when we need to.
Good. Yeah. Perfect.
Alrighty. So that's just kind of an example of how these strategies are used in classrooms, like a whole class learning. So these kids will talk to each other about the stories. So they're listening actively to each other. They're asking questions. They're figuring out when their peers answer a question. They think about that answer and they're like, oh, maybe I can build on top of that. Or, oh, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Maybe I can ask a clarifying question. So they kind of tie together. And then these kids were really good about interacting and sharing their ideas with each other. So these are strategies that we're going to work on this whole year just to kind of get better at it so that when you guys go on to junior high, you're more and more prepared, which is exciting. Junior high. We got to get through this year first, though, right? How you doing? Good? Still good so far? All right. So I might need you guys to unmute every once in a while and answer some questions, but we're basically only going to write 4 things really quick based on your guys' thoughts, and then we'll be done with this lesson. So let's start with a listening actively box. There's already 2 written in for us. So the action plan, which means what can you do to make sure that you're actively listening to people. The first one says that you can eliminate the distractions. So for example, you can put your cell phone away so that when it rings, you're not like, oh, I gotta go look at my cell phone immediately, and you lose attention on the person that's speaking. Which is one of the big reasons why we ask you guys to not have cell phones in school, because it just takes away your attention from what you're supposed to be learning, and can be rude to be on your phone when someone's talking directly to you and you're not listening to them. It can come off as a little bit rude, right? Which is another thing, to keep your eyes on the speaker. When you're having a conversation with someone and you're not looking at them, it seems like you're not listening to them. So those are 2 things that are pretty vague on. These are 2 things that you can do to make it so that you're actively listening to someone. And we need to add a 3rd thing. So this is where you guys come in. Does anybody have any ideas of an action plan that would be an active listening strategy? What can we do to make sure? Madi, go ahead.
To like sit up and actually listen without getting distracted or spacing out or anything like that.
Good.
Like keep yourself in check.
Good. So keep yourself engaged with the lesson.
Miss Jones, can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead, Yoshi.
Be quiet.
Okay, good. So no side conversations, right?
Yeah.
Anybody else? Charles?
Having group tables.
So if we have group tables and then you're actively listening to each other? Okay, good. Unfortunately, this year, I don't think we're going to be able to have groups just because of the coronavirus, but maybe eventually. We'll see. But let's go back to our, well, does anybody else have any ideas before we move on? All right, let's go back to our box and type those in. So I wrote them down, and we're going to type it in. So if we are, so let's say in groups or right, in small groups, sorry. In small groups or in large groups. Keep yourself engaged with the speaker and how do I want to write it? And have no side conversations. So you can type in exactly what I typed in. I'll give you about a minute or 2 to have that in there, but I like all of those ideas. Keeping yourself engaged with your classmates or me if I'm the one talking, and try not to have any side conversations, which includes the chat. By the way, sometimes some of you guys get a little carried away sometimes in there when I'm teaching up here. It's fine when we're not teaching, but when we're having a lesson, let's try to keep the chat to a minimum. About 1 more minute to finish typing that up, and then we will go to the next one. Alrighty, let's go ahead and move on to the clarifying questions. Thumbs up if you're good. Ready for that? Alright, if not, remember we're recording this video. It's going to go up on Schoology after the lesson, so you can always go back and get the answers again if you need them, okay? Plus, we'll be on this page still every once in a while, so you can still see it. So our next one, clarify by asking questions. So the action plan there, the things that you can do to clarify. If you're confused, other people probably are too. That's something that you don't really think about. So if one of you guys is confused about something that I'm talking about or the directions or anything like that, it's a pretty big possibility that someone else is too. So it's a good idea to ask the question, and then it'll help the whole class and not just you. So if you are confused about something, ask away. I'm always here to clarify things, right? Or anybody in the room. Maybe if you ask a peer, they might know. If you ask someone else, like another adult that's in the room, that could be helpful too. And then if none of that works, we'll figure it out together, right? The second one, if you see that you're guessing, ask a question instead. So if you're seeing that you're guessing to answer a question, ask someone instead. Instead of guessing, take a second and ask for that help. You should never feel like you can't ask us for help. We're always here. We love helping you guys. It's pretty much our whole job. So ask away. And then we need to figure out a third and final one. So again, this is where you guys come in. I'm going to write down what ideas you have. So I'm going to come back to you. Anybody have any ideas on that one? This one's a little bit harder. Any ideas? Not this time? All right, I came up with one, so we'll use mine. So the one, oh, I saw meat come up. Oh, never mind. The one that I kind of came up with was along the lines of directions. So if you're really confused or you don't understand directions, that's when you should ask questions. So we're going to say if the directions or instructions do not make sense, ask questions to help clarify them. So to make it more clear, just ask questions. If one of our instructions that we give doesn't make sense, ask away. Okay? I'll give you about 2 minutes to get that one typed in. Alrighty. Thumbs up if you're ready for the next one. Okay. So we're just going to scroll down a little bit. You'll probably still be able to see the answer for that one. Just going to scroll down to the next one. This one is monitor understanding. So monitor means that you're keeping track of something, and then understanding means that you're getting the material, right? So our action plan for this is that you notice what information you already know. So if we're doing a lesson and you already know it, then be ready to build on top of it. So be ready to ask questions to make your understanding deeper. So you're getting a deeper knowledge of something. Or be ready to do extra practice problems because you already get it, so I can make it a little bit harder for you. So just knowing where you are and understanding that. And then the opposite side of that. So the first one is knowing that you already know something. But the opposite side is to make sure that you're asking for help if you are struggling. Some of the stuff that we learned this year can be a bit difficult. So if you're not understanding it, please ask for help. There's a lot of people at the school that are more than willing to sit down and help you out with whatever you need to learn. So just make sure you're asking for help if you are struggling. But the big part of this is knowing that you are struggling a little bit. So being able to monitor where you are in what we're learning. Okay? So now we need to come up with a third one about monitoring ourselves. So do we have any ideas on that one? What are some good ideas that we can put there? Madi, go ahead.
Me?
Always practice on things that you're working on in class and see what you don't understand and what you do understand.
Good. So practice, I'm going to call it standards. Practice standards. Any other ideas? No more? All right, I had a couple too, so we'll talk about mine too. So if we go back to our worksheet, I guess is what we can call it. Some other things that I thought of are to take some notes as well. So you can always be taking notes to go back to. You can be listening to your classmates because they might know something that you don't, or vice versa. So you might know something that they don't. So helping out your classmates and just asking yourself in general, do I understand this? So let's write those ones down. This one might be a little bit longer. I'm going to do like kind of bullet points. So take notes. Oh, not NORS. Notes. Listen to your classmates. Ask yourself if you understand, and practice the standards. Okay, so that's actually a few things that you can do. But all of those things are going to help you monitor whether or not you're understanding what is being taught. Okay, so I'll give you 2 minutes to type that out, or write it down if that's what you're doing. All right, ready for the last one? All right, last one is to interact and share your ideas. So this is talking to the people around you, giving your opinions on the articles or the stories that we read. So some things that you can do are share your ideas and answer the questions, even if you're unsure. One of the big things that I know we're not in physical classroom, but one of the biggest things that I try to have in our classroom is that we respect each other. So if someone gives an answer that isn't right, we're not going to be like, ha ha, you're wrong. Like, that's just rude. So our biggest thing is that even if you're unsure, you're willing to share your ideas, because we have a big, like a respectful classroom that's going to be like, well, what if we tried this instead, or something along those lines. So that's a big part of being able to interact and share your ideas, having a classroom that people feel comfortable doing that, even if they're not sure of what their idea is. Okay. The next one is that you're able to build on the ideas of others by adding details or making connections. In the video that we watched, they were talking about a nickname for someone named Lori. And one kid said that, okay, maybe it's just a nickname. And then another kid built on top of that and said, in the book, they called her Aunt Lori, so maybe that's where it comes from too. So neither of them are wrong. They just had different ideas, and they added to each other's ideas. Okay? So we need to come up with a couple more things that we could do to be better at interacting and sharing our ideas. So what ideas do you guys have on that one? Any ideas? No? Nothing? Okay, that's fine. I wrote some down. We'll write mine down. So my biggest one is going to be the respectful part of it, right? So one of the big things is be kind and respectful of others' ideas. And we're not going to put other people down for having an idea about something. Okay? And then we want to also encourage others to participate. Okay, so if, let's say you're in a small group, you're working with maybe 3 other people, and one of your classmates in that group has a really good idea, but they don't really want to share it out. Maybe you can encourage them to be like, no, that's a super good idea. You should tell everybody in the class that one. So when we do the whole group part of things, they're willing to share their ideas. So encouraging others is a big one. Okay? I think that's all we're going to write for that one. Anybody have any other ideas on that one? Anything we can add?
No, don't think so.
Don't think so? Alrighty. I'll go back and let you guys write that one down. About 2 minutes. Once you get that written down, I'm pretty sure you guys should be able to hit turn in the top right corner. Mine, I don't have that. It's the teacher side of things. But if you get it all typed out, turn it in, and you'll have that part done for the day. Your ELA assignment is done for today.
Alrighty, everybody.
Hang on, don't leave yet. Just because I said it.
So what do we do now? So we're done.
If you're done, if you finish Monday's ELA and Tuesday's ELA and today's, then you're free to go, and you can head out, and if you're at home, do whatever you do at home. If you're here, you can work on Prodigy, Epic, any other things that you're missing too. But if you are someone that has not finished Mondays, Tuesdays, ELA, so this Pearson, or it's called Savis, right? If you have not finished those 2 assignments, I would stay on and work on those so you can ask me questions if you're confused, but try and get those done so you're keeping caught up. Okay, so those are kind of the 2 options. You stay and work on those couple things, or you can head out. But I'm going to stay on for another half hour, so I'll be here until 9:35. Okay? Sound good to you guys?